You know that moment where you load up a game, you're excited, you can't wait to actually get onto this thing, and you've been waiting for it to install. It's finally here. And then you click on it, and then for some weird reason, doesn't quite look right. Ever had that happen to you? Hmm. It's kind of like that with Battlefield 6 at the moment. And I have a little bit of a script to go off of. Battlefield 6 has been one of those games where the hype has just been absolutely insane. And people were really looking forward to it. The beta was pretty good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Compared to Battlefield 4, there's a contrast difference between Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 6. We won't really get into Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, because they are more the older ones, as in World War 1, World War 2. So there isn't that much of a relevance compared to the differences between 4, 2042, and 6. So I'll kind of keep it short for that sake. But it seems as though they've kind of shit the bed harder than Amber Heard on this game. They haven't listened to their player base at all, or they've actually listened to the wrong player base. Sounds a little counterintuitive. How many COD players are actually playing Battlefield 6 at the moment? Seriously, think about it. Reason? They're waiting for the new Battlefield. They're waiting for the new Call of Duty to arrive and to be released. The devs have decided that they're actually going to listen more to the wrong players for their game. And then wondering why at the moment that Battlefield 6 is probably one of the worst Battlefield games in recent history. For good reason as well. I had a little bit of a rant a few days ago, and I posted it on X, or Twitter as I still like to call it, about the points value system and a pistol, where the points value system is completely wrong for the game. Nobody asked for it, nobody wanted it. But that's a topic for, slightly further into this video. We've got, let's see, the UI and menu. Now, when you click into Battlefield 6, you think, okay, this is going to be nicely structured, it's going to be easy on the eyes. No, it's actually not. It's so bombarded by crap, just straight off the word go. You've got featured, multiplayer, gameplay, store, and just everything else. And the UI system just looks terrible. It's just not structured decently for the eyes. And some of the things that you want are in such stupid places. Like you've got to click all the way down pretty much to the bottom of the screen to click on multiplayer before you even start anything. Because that's majority of the time where people are going to go. It's straight to the multiplayer. Which I am one of those people that actually still do have the campaign because the campaign wasn't bad. I did actually enjoy it. I like doing the story modes and the campaigns. It gets a feel for the way the game feels, certain weapons, if I like that weapon, if I don't like that weapon, maybe I might use that in multiplayer. Okay, right, I know to avoid that one type of thing. That's why I personally still like to keep the campaigns on my hard drive at all times. And I've done it with Battlefield 4, I've done it with a lot of games, regardless of me actually playing the multiplayer. Now, I understand the games will have similarities to other games. It's going to happen. UIs, menus. But there's a difference between a similarity and just straight up copying. They've just gone click, 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 click. That's basically what they've done with COD. Now, I'm not a COD hater by all means. I actually like the games. I've played every single COD imaginable. I've played my fair share of games. Everything from NES, Sega Master Systems, all the way up to the new generation. I've played every console you can possibly think of. Every multitude of games, from side-scrollers to indies to survival horrors. So I'm not knocking on COD. I really ain't. COD is a good game. However, when you make a game that is quite literally a copy and paste of a game, and then you stick a different title on it, and then you're expecting the player base to just fall over themselves for your game, you're kind of doing it wrong. You load up Battlefield, or as me and my friends have now dubbed it, Battleduty. Load it up. I'll wait. Look at the UI. Look at the menu. Look at the layout. Then you go onto any of the CODs, any of the recent CODs, and you'll notice the exact same layout. Everything is the exact same. We've got the store. The store is a massive bone of, well, not a massive one, but it is a bone of contention. This is a military game. Yet everything in the store is based on everything the COD has. The layout, the structure, the way you've got to get the credits and the tokens in order to buy the stuff out of the store that basically gives you no advantage whatsoever. You've got skins for characters that nobody asked for, nobody wanted. If anything, they actually want the old system, which is the way I preferred it, the way from Battlefield 4, where you have a nice list of different camo styles that you can tailor and tweak. And okay, I kind of want my character to have this color because, you know, that's the environment that I'm going to be playing in. There's certain maps. Not bright green to the point where it stands out like a sore thumb. It doesn't work. Seriously, have a look between the three classes. I'm not going to pick on Recon because Recon actually looks kind of different. But seriously, have a look at the three classes. The Assault, the Engineer, and the Support. Can you tell me which one's which at first glance? You run around a corner on any of the maps. Can you tell me which one's which before they blitz you? I can't. I actually struggle to tell the difference between an Assault, a Support, and the Engineer until they kill me. It's only after they kill me is that I actually realize which one's which, because it actually tells you. With the fact that you can change multiple different weapons for multiple different classes, that's the only thing that kind of, okay, that might be an assault. No, I don't know. Unless they do something like the ladder, deployable cover, the ammo bag, or the medic bag, the defibrillator. Unless they do something along them lines that actually distinguish themselves, they're all identical. Very, very slight differences. Seriously, next time you're on a map, any map, right, sit with a DMR or a sniper rifle with, you know, a decent zoom scope on it, and sit between 40 to, call it 70 meters away. Can you tell me who's who? Can you tell me the difference between a support engineer and a assault from that range? I can't, and I've played every single Battlefield that is. It's not the fact of that we don't want the skins. It's the fact that the skins are useless. They make no difference. A slight little bit of green on the shoulder here, or a slight little bit of red. What's the point? What's the point when every single one of them classes looks identical? Literally, the only things that distinguishes them is maybe the chest rig or the belt. But when a game is moving that fast, you're not taking the time to look at their chest rig or their belt. You're actually more worried about what they're shooting it with. Seriously. I'm not a streamer, as you can tell from the setup. I'm just an average fat gamer that have played games pretty much for, 30 out of 36 of his years. So the reason why I have these bones of contention is basically because I want to see this game thrive. I want to see it actually do well. Battlefield 4 was perfect, and this isn't just, well, it could probably just be my opinion, but I think it was the GOAT. By the end of Battlefield's life, everything was perfect. They had lots of weapons, they had camos, the vehicles were sorted, the maps were amazing. Battlefield 4 was chef's kiss. By the end of its lifespan, it was perfect. It didn't need anything else. Okay, granted, with 2042, they tried changing things up, and we honestly thought that they had learned from their mistake. Okay, we shouldn't have done that. Okay, we're going to go back to what it was. So I kind of understand why they tried Battlefield 2042. For the most part, it was a good game. I will grant them that. They understood, they listened to player feedback. Okay, we shouldn't have done that. Granted. However, they haven't listened to the feedback for Battlefield 6. We got weapon blueprints and attachments and the point system. This is a big bone of contention for me. Very big bone of contention. Weapon blueprints. Click on the weapons. The entire layout is identical to COD's. You have maybe, I don't know, 8 weapons, 9. The way they're actually structured in grids of 4. Nobody asked for that. It looks stupid. The weapon blueprints themselves, again, nobody asked for. Why do we need blueprints? Why do we need blueprints and these camo skins when you unlock at like 30, 50? Why? We never asked for that. No Battlefield player has ever asked for a camo skin as soon as you hit mastery of 50 or... Why? What's the point? There isn't any point. Whilst on the topic of mastery, the attachments make no sense. By the time you actually get to the late stages of the mastery for the items that you need on the weapons, you've either one of two things. You've either moved off the weapon because you've gone on to something either better, or you're just kind of bored with it. Or 2, well, it just takes so long. Suppressors. Suppressors are basically at the very end of the mastery, but they're actually one of the best things for any of the weapons. It hides you off the radar. But yet they are so far into the mastery that by the time you get there, you're kind of like, eh, and you're not really bothered. Speaking of which, a lot of these blueprints that you can buy out of the store, they're effectively pay to win. I don't care what anybody says. It may be a hot take, it may be not, you might disagree with me. It is pay to win. And you're probably going to say to yourself, well, how? Think about it. Think back to that suppressor I just said. A lot of the suppressors are 28, 32, beyond. You take somebody that plays, casually, they have a daytime job, 9 to 5 type of thing. You come home and you sit on the game and, you get absolutely blitzed by somebody that have just bought same weapon as you, but the attachments have suppressors and etc. You have to grind all the way up to that mastery rank before you can unlock that suppressor. Whereas if you buy it, it gives it to you for free. That's where a lot of people are circumventing a lot of the unlocks. Because what you do is you go on the battle pass, you unlock the weapon unlocks you straight away. Yes, you unlock the blueprint, but then you don't have to unlock the base model because you already have a blueprint that you can use straight away, which circumvents the process of even getting the weapon legitimately in the first place. So, and then we get on to this topic. The point system. No Battlefield player has legitimately said there is too many attachments on my gun. No Battlefield players ever said that. Majority of the time, it's players that want more faster paced and quicker games. You've got to have a specific loadout for a specific match to dolphin dive, headshot, quick scope, power slide, pre-firing. No, that's not what a Battlefield game is. You don't see military members in, foreign countries dolphin diving with LMGs and assault rifles. No, it doesn't work like that. A lot of them have attachments. They have flashlights, scopes, suppressors, extended mags, shoulder straps. They have magazine wells. They have foregrips, all on their weapons. Go to Donald Trump. Go to Donald Trump and say to him, right, you're only allowed an extended mag on your weapons that you give to the military. See how pissed off they'd get. Seriously. You're only allowed an extended mag. That's it. You're not allowed nothing else. Oh, maybe a red dot sight. Maybe. But it's just the basic generic red dot sight that you can afford. Just imagine how pissed off the military would be. Seriously. Have a look at the LMGs. Have a look at the assault rifles. We'll take the very, very first LMG that you have in the game. I think it's the L110, I think it is. Put an extended mag on there. 55 points for a point system, all right? 55 points. That allotment of points takes up so much that you were restricted to next to nothing for that weapon. You can't put a decent scope on it. You definitely can't put a suppressor on it. You could maybe get a foregrip, but the foregrips are crap. There's no point. There's like 3 of the same foregrips that give you very minute, incremental amounts of difference. But the amount of difference that it is between the level 5 and the level 15 is so small that it's not even worth bothering with. We never asked for this as Battlefield players. Majority of the time, it's the Call of Duty players. Why? Because then they're not overpowered, or the opposing team isn't overpowered. We've never had that problem in Battlefield 4, 2042. Hell, I'll even go far back as, Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3. We never had that problem. If anything, at one point, we was asking for more attachments, not less. The points value system is a COD thing. The entire game basically screams of COD and is blatant. It's basically Battleduty at this point. It's a copy and paste of Call of Duty with a Battlefield name onto it. The points value system in the game needs to be scrapped. It needs to be gone completely. You don't see any of the Battlefield veterans complaining that I have too many attachments. It's not a skill issue. It's more of a fact of this game was never designed for true Battlefield players. It was designed for Call of Duty players. Take a look at the map designs. Most, if not majority of the maps, they're small, they're contained, they're fast. They're not designed for long drawn out games. Hell, they even took out the time limits. Instead, they decided to do the exact same thing as what they do with Call of Duty and what they done with 2042. Instead of a time limit, they've given you lives. Why? Why not just give us the time limit? We was much happier. All of the maps, or majority of the maps, like I just said, they're very small, contained, fast-paced maps. They're not designed for the type of gameplay that Battlefield should be. DMRs, practically useless in majority of the maps, because where they excel is that medium to long range. Sniper rifles, medium to long range. Shotguns, they are a bane of existence right now because they're so incredibly strong. SMGs are actually outperforming ARs, carbines, and even some DMRs in range, accuracy, fire rates. They'd even outcompete in LMGs as well. You're focusing on the wrong things. Everything about this game is wrong right from the word go. And you're wondering why at the moment this game is classed as one of the worst Battlefield games that have ever released. Ever. You've listened to the wrong people. You've made a game that nobody wanted a copy of. If I want to play Call of Duty, I'll play Call of Duty. Majority of the players at the moment on Battlefield are either there because they've got nothing else to play. It's a new game. Or they don't want to play Battlefield 4 because basically they don't have it installed. Currently, I'd probably say there's just as much Battlefield 4 players as well as Battlefield 6 players. You've got the Levelution system that the devs said that they implemented in the game. What Levelution? Seriously, what Levelution? I mean, you blow up a crane and maybe, changes a slight difference between like Bravo and Charlie, or That's not Levelution. That's just basic destruction. Seriously, it's just basic destruction. Levelution. Think of Levelution. Battlefield 4, Siege of Shanghai. One of the best maps ever created. Ever. In Battlefield 4. It is amazing. It was one of the best beta maps that we could have had for Battlefield 4. It was amazing. You take out all the pillars, the foundation pillars, the entire skyscraper comes down, and that entire area is just rubble, and it changes the dynamic completely. Lankang Dam. You blow up the dam, and it floods the entire area, changing that entire gameplay from tanks and anti-aircraft to more amphibious stuff. APCs, you had to swim. That's Levelution. It literally changes the dynamic of the missions, of the maps. Not just a little bit of destruction here, a little bit of destruction there. That's not Levelution. That's just a cop-out. That's just a fancy name put on for basic destruction. The destruction mechanics of 6 are pretty good. I will grant them that. You can blow a hole in a wall, you can completely destroy the buildings. Yeah, I would say the destruction is pretty good. Is it Levelution? No, it's far from it, actually. I mean, there's a couple of instances where if you blow up a building, it does kind of change the dynamic of that map. But a lot of the maps are meant for close pace, fast pace, close engagements. It makes no difference. What's the point? Levelution it's a cop-out. When I think Levelution, I think complete map overhaul. You do one thing, or the team, or, does one thing. It changes the dynamic for everybody. And then you have to change your playstyle. You can't be rushing in, and you can't be shooting from up top up high. You now have to change your entire playstyle. Your entire loadout has to change based on that evolution. Battlefield 6 doesn't have it. You can quite easily go in one map, any map, doesn't matter. You can go in one map, and you can use the same loadout from the start to the finish. Nothing changes. Literally nothing changes at all. And the last point that I wrote down was the fact that the game developers and the game makers have listened to the wrong players. They've listened to the COD players complaining that tanks are too strong. You can't kill them with this, this, and this. The weapons are too fast or too strong for certain categories. You've got assault rifles that are getting absolutely shredded by SMGs. You have LMGs, which are on the completely wrong class for starters, same as SMGs. They're on the completely wrong class. But it doesn't matter because I know what's going to happen. I've seen it before on multiple different games. They listen to the wrong players. They listen to the COD streamer wannabe, dolphin diving players that are only around because there's nothing else to play. When they leave, and they will leave because they're just waiting for the new COD to come out. Yes, RedSec is a nice different change of pace, and it kind of borders that line between Call of Duty Warzone and Battlefield, but not that much. There isn't that much of a difference, really, when you think about it. But I digress. They listen to the wrong players. When they jump ship, and they will do when the new COD gets released, what's going to happen? All the challenges have been changed because the players want them now. They want them done quickly. But the game is meant to survive. It's meant to survive long duration, not unlock everything before Call of Duty actually comes out. And then, because you've done everything on Battlefields, you have no reason to return. The player base is going to tank. Absolutely tank. And that's what's going to happen. Payday 2 happened. Payday 3 happened. It's basically the same thing. They had the blueprint for Payday 2 at the end of its life cycle. It was almost perfect. Yes, they needed to change some things up, and they needed to give some of the PC content to consoles. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit of a bugbear and a little bit of a gripe. But they listened to the wrong players. When Payday 3 come out then, player base tanked. Because, unfortunately, they weren't listening to the right players. They listened to the wrong ones. They implemented changes that a lot of the players didn't want. A lot of the long-term players, the ones that was going to stick around after the people that have got nothing to do. And look what happened. The studio actually begged for people to come back, and then they doubled down even further and they went, well, if you can't support us whilst we're, struggling, then don't bother coming back. And look what's happened. Payday 3 it's got really low numbers now. That's basically what's going to happen with Battlefield 6. Because everything that has been implemented is not for the Battlefield players. It's all for the Call of Duty ones. The store, the UI, the weapon blueprints, the weapon attachments system, the points value system, the movement. I could go on. It's literally a cookie cutter, copy and paste. Nothing in this game is Battlefield. You've got maybe a slight hint here or there. Not enough. It really isn't. And it's a pity because I would like to see the game thrive and survive. 2 months. I'd probably say 2 months, maybe 3. And you're going to see the player numbers absolutely tank. Because all the Call of Duty players would have gone. Which would then leave the last set of players, which is either the new players that have now finally had the money to get the game, or the players that basically have nothing else to play. Because the Call of Duty, the Battlefield veterans, the ones that have actually played all of the previous Battlefields, don't want to play this because there's no Battlefield there. The maps are not designed for us. They're small, they're not inviting, they're just, the weapons themselves, they aren't inviting. There's a lot of weapons that are just, You take a look at 2042's selection of weapons. Just the assault rifles alone. Yes, some have been added over the course of 2042's lifespan. I will grant you. However, they had more than 6 pistols. 4 pistols in the game. 4. Maybe 5. Actually, I think that is 5, yeah. Because you got the starting PP6, you got the 5.7, the 1911, the M44, or the, Smith & Wesson, and now you got the Glock. 5 pistols, and they're crap. They're absolutely crap. They do no damage. Some are too slow for you to actually use. And again, going back to the point system, you can't have anything on them because you put one thing on them and then you've just restricted yourself, which means that you can't even effectively use one of the weapons that you have in your arsenal because unfortunately it's got nothing on it to compete with other weapons because you've just ran out of ammo. You're actually better off just getting killed and then dying and then reviving. There's no point. You take the assault class, for instance. When has Battlefield ever used an adrenaline injector? It hasn't. It never has. You'd see that more on the medic. Medics. Okay, I'm going to be in close. I'm going to be, on the front lines. I'm going to revive in with my defibrillators and boom, wait a 1 second. I just got to lug out this LMG. Really? You're on the front lines and you give somebody that's just as fast and supposed to be just as fast as the assault class an LMG. One of the most unwieldy, slow weapons with one of the worst reloads in the game. Because, okay, pull that up, load the rounds, put that down, slam it. Okay, as a medic, you would just got shot several times, or if anything, you have now been killed because your weapon is taking so long to actually reload. Then you got the flip side of that, the engineer. You got the person that actually would benefit more by having the LMG because he's at longer range with the anti-air, the anti-tank, the, basically the heavy hitting stuff that he's meant to actually be in that medium to slightly long range. And he has an SMG. It doesn't make any sense. Why am I going to be in on the front lines with an SMG? Though, with the way the SMGs are performing in this game, yeah, I can kind of understand why at the moment, because they're outranging ARs and carbines. But still, in a normal average world, an SMG should be to the medic, not to the engineer. Which makes no sense. When you're lugging around a missile launcher and some anti-tank mines, and then you're whipping out an SMG, it's two contrasting different things. The game's a shambles. It's an absolute shambles. And the proficiencies have come as people have actually noticed. If you don't use the right weapon, your aim is all over the place, which makes it very unfair, because if you want to use an LMG on, say, a recon class, you go to aim the thing and you're literally doing this. You can't aim it. Or if you can't aim it, you're not very effective with it. This is me as a reserved one. My last rant about the pistols, yeah, that was a little aggravated, because I was looking forward to the 5.7. It's one of my favourite pistols. The fact that it's a pistol that fires a rifle cartridge, a 5.7, one of the heaviest hitting semi-autos in the world, and you can't use it. Please help me understand. There's a lot of changes that need to be done.